हुए हुए सहना होतु ओम सहना होतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं परवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं पुत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः. Thirteenth chapter, you know? Sayodaka. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetrametya vidhiyate etadjoveti tam prabhu kshetrajnaiti tadvidaha. This body is called the kshetram, and one who understands the body is called kshetrajna. Kshetram janati. Why it is called kshetram? Any object is called kshetram. It is said chadanat kshetramiti. It is something kshetravat व अस्मिन् कर्मफल निवृत्तेः कर्मफल निवृत्तेः it is kshetra because it is a karma bhumi and a bhoga bhumi. It's a problem. It is a karma bhumi means you do only with the actions. You do actions only with the body, and you enjoy the results also only through the body. You don't enjoy the results without the body. You can't. It's not possible. Therefore, you enjoy the results also through the body. You do the karma also through the body. Because yeah, as a person, as a conscious being within the body, you become karta, bhokta, identified with the body. Otherwise, its actuality is akatrutvam and abhoktrutvam. Its actuality is akatrutvam and abhoktrutvam. But as the body, he becomes the karta. Identified with the body, the Paramatma becomes the karta and bhokta. Unidentified with the body, it is actuality. He is free from the body, that is actuality. And therefore, all the kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam is due to identification with the body. Minus the identification with the body, there is no kartrutvam, there is no bhoktrutvam. Like in the deep sleep state, you are only aware of this silence. You are not aware of any kartrutvam or any bhoktrutvam. There is no action done. There is no result also enjoyed. Therefore, idam shariram kaunteya kshetramit avidhiyate. Etadjo vetitam prahu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. Tadvidaha means those who understand the truth, they say the body is the kshetram, and the one who knows the body is the kshetrajna. Kshetram janati iti kshetrajna. Jnaha means janati, is related to the known, not the truth of the known. That is, the truth of the known is the jnapti, and that is also the karyakarana bhava. But when it comes to his actuality, there is no word for it. You can't explain, you can't describe. Anirvachaniyam, it is something that you can't beat, you can't define. The truth. The truth is yourself. And therefore, Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi. Kshetrajna is none other than myself. He says, I am Kshetrajna, I am there in Kshetrajna, I am there. Tasrushto tadeva anupravashata. Having created, he himself, Parameshwara himself enters the body. And therefore, Parameshwara is none other than this Kshetrajna. and the infinite cannot be away from the form. Infinite must include all the forms, including the time, space, everything must be included in the infinite. There cannot be anything parallel to the infinite. There is nothing parallel to the infinite. The infinite alone is the Advaitam. Advaitam means infinite. There is no finitude in the Atma. There is no formlessness. It is formless and it is infinite. But then the form cannot be parallel to the infinite. The form is included in the infinite, and therefore the infinite is the formless, but it is the truth of all forms, and therefore we worship the forms. Worshipping the form is worshipping Parameshwara only. Worshipping the form is worshipping Parameshwara. And therefore, we have form worship, because you are worshipping only Bhagavan. You are not worshipping the form. You are only worshipping the form. You are worshipping the form, and therefore, that is why those who worship this form is what is called the Lord in the form of a form, and that is what is called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means you find yourself born. You find yourself Sanatani. Sanatani means the timeless. Sanatana means the timeless. And therefore, what is not born of time is Sanatana. What is not born at a given time, it can't be traced to time. That is called timeless. Sanatana means the timeless. The timeless being is the timeless values are called constitution, are called Sanatana Dharma. Dharma means dharyate anyanidri. I mean, two individuals can live together. That is called dharma. And therefore, Sanatana Dharma means dharma is Sanatana. The dharma is Sanatana. And even logic, what is logical? Logical is Sanatana Dharma. What is logical? What is value is Sanatana Dharma. What is logical is also Sanatana. And that's logic. Logic has come from time. You can't trace the logic from to any moment of time. When a man is born, he is born with rationing mind, rational, as a rational animal. As a rational animal, he is born. He is born with the logic. He is born with the values, and the constitution is fitted into the. He has a sense of right and wrong. He has a sense of logic also, and logicality and illogicality, and therefore he knows that everybody is only wanting to understand the infinite. You want to be infinite infinity, infinite happiness, and therefore uh, that is what is called dharma. And then everybody is wanting only total happiness. And therefore, you are not happy even after experiencing the finite happiness. You want to start again. You want to enjoy another pleasure. You want to enjoy another pleasure. Why? Because you are not happy with the finite happiness. Happiness that can be traced to time, to beginning of time and end of time. Before I went to sleep, it was there, and after I went to sleep, it is not there. Before I woke up, it was not there. After I wake up, it is there, and therefore, it can be traced to time. But you find yourself also are born with a time. What cannot be traced to time is Sanatana, because Sanatana Dharma is something that your sense of right and wrong, your sense of right and wrong is something that cannot be traced to time. That cannot be there. You are born with the time. You are born with the values. You are born with the logicality and illogicality, and therefore it is Sanatana Dharma. And a human being he is born with logicality and illogicality. He is born with the sense of right and wrong, and therefore it is Sanatana. And therefore, anyone who follows the Sanatanam, he is logical. He is logical, and therefore he is also having a right and wrong, or sense of right and wrong values. He always does the right thing. He always follows the right thing. He never, and he always follows the logic also. And therefore it is called Sanatana Dharma. And therefore here Bhagavan says, Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi. What is Parameshwara? Parameshwara is myself. Parameshwara says, Kshetrajna is myself, he says. Parameshwara says, Kshetrajna is myself. And therefore, he is myself means it's Samanadikaranyam. There is no difference between it is equation. The equation is like the Swayam Devadatta. That Devadatta is this Devadatta. That Devadatta is not equal to this Devadatta. That Devadatta is this Devadatta. In my thinking, to the observer, I have seen something, some Devadatta before in school, and later on I found him taking sannyasa, and he grown a beard. When I see him in Rishikesh, when I went to Rishikesh, I saw him, and I recognized that Devadatta is this Devadatta. That Devadatta is not equal to this Devadatta. That Devadatta is this Devadatta. And Parameshwara doesn't say that I am equal to Jivatma. I am the Jivatma. It is true. Parameshwara himself is Jivatma. Parameshwara himself is the Sakshi. Parameshwara himself is the Karta. He is Akarta by actuality. In fact, he is not Karta. He is not Bhokta. But through identification with the body, he becomes the Karta Bhokta. He doesn't become him by nature. He looks as though he is identified with the body, and therefore he is called Karta Bhokta. And therefore I am not equal to Jiva, I am the Jiva. Jiva is myself. Jiva is myself. Jiva loses the Jivatvam, Ishvara loses the Ishvaratvam. And therefore Ishvara loses it. There is nobody who thinks the Ishvara. As long as I am Jiva, I am related to the Ishvara, Ishvaratvam. But when I understand the truth, then I am not related to Ishvara, because I become the Ishvara only, and therefore there is no relationship. Relationship is scrapped. In Sushupti, you are not related to anything. You are not related to even God. You are not related. There is no. You are absolute. When you are absolute, when you are non-dual, you are not related to anything. When you are not related to anything, you are non-dual. Or when you are non-dual, you are not related to anything. Non-duality means non-relationship. Non-duality relationship means duality. Relationship means duality. Duality means relationship. And therefore, when Kshetrajna is myself, I am Kshetrajnaha. I am Kshetrajnaha means I become the Kshetrajnaha when I am identified with the body. But that Kshetrajnaha is myself. Kshetrajna chapimam vidhi. Sarva kshetreshu bharata. Not only in one kshetra, Parameshwara says, Krishna says, Parameshwara is talking. As Parameshwara, he says, I am there in all the kshetras. In all the bodies, I am the kshetrajna. And therefore, every kshetrajna is myself. And therefore, like every kshetrajna is yourself. Every kshetrajna is Ishvara. That means Jiva loses his Jivatvam, individuality, and Ishvara loses his his Ishvaratvam. And there is only Brahman. And therefore Ishvara as the Karanam for everything. And when you think of the cause and effect relationship, then there is Ishvara. When there is no cause and effect relationship, in actuality there is no cause and effect relationship. Like Sarpa, Rajju is as the Sarpa, as the cause of this Sarpa, as the cause of the Sarpa means as the material cause, not as it willed itself to be a snake. It does not will itself. I see the snake. The conscious being, the Jiva sees the snake, rope as snake. And the Jiva sees it as snake. And the Jiva thinks that it is snake. And therefore, who is the material cause? The rope. Where does he see? Paratra. Smriti Rupaha Paratra Purva Drishta Avabhasa. Anything that is seen and something and a locus. That locus is what is called the material cause, Upadana Karanam. And similarly here, as Upadana Karanam, it is the cause. By itself, it is not Upadana. It is not Upadana. When I don't see the snake, the rope alone is. When I see the snake, the rope is the Upadana Karanam, material cause for the snake. And therefore, Ishvara says, I am the Kshetrajna in all the bodies. I am the Kshetrajna is indeed Ishvara. As the material cause, he is Ishvara. Once you are the material cause, then you are not the cause. Once you understand the next step is I am alone. I am non-dual. As the material cause, I am the truth of everything, and yet I am not the truth of everything, and therefore I'm free from everything. I'm unqualified by anything, and therefore unqualified by anything means non-dual, and therefore Sarvakshetreshu Bharata. Hey Bharata, I am in all the bodies. I am the Kshetrajna. I am a conscious being in all the bodies. Kshetra jnanam yat tad jnanam matam mama. The knowledge between Kshetra and Kshetrajna. What is Kshetram and what is Kshetra? The knowledge about the Kshetram and Kshetrajna is indeed Kshetra is not is different from the Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna is Parameshwara himself. Jiva is Parameshwara himself. And this knowledge is the real knowledge. This is my matam. Matam means my sammatam. Sammatam should be understood as sammatam. It is acceptable to me. It is acceptable to it is my sammatam. It's not my matam means it's not it is one of the matas. There are three matas in this uh, Trimata Acharyas. Trimata Acharyas means three matas Acharyas. Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. They are called Trimata Acharyas, three matas. Krishna has got his own matam. ऐसा नहीं देखना मैं सम्मतम सम्मतम means its acceptability. Matam should be taken as sammatam. Due to sammatam, if you say kshetrajnyorya jnanam, etat jnanam matam mama. Due to sammatam should be taken as the reality, not the matam. Why? Because there is a meter in composing the verse. It becomes it negates the alliteration. It negates the alliteration, and therefore matam mama. Meter is really meter. You don't go against the meter, and therefore it is called chandasam. My sammatam. Chandasam means it is a Vedic. Chandasa means sometimes you don't go along with the meter. You say some things that is allowed to only for Veda. Veda can say things which are not as per the grammar, as per the Panini grammar. And as per the Panini grammar, it is not. And therefore it is called Chandasam. That is why in the south it is called, he has got Chadastam, means he is not logical. And Veda also sometimes it is illogical. To correct the to tally with the meter, it says something. Instead of saying matam, sammatam, it says matam, mama. That's jnanam matam. The knowledge about the Kshetram and Kshetrajna is indeed the jnanam. The knowledge about the every other knowledge is nothing. It is avidya only. And even to see the objects, to be related to the objects is nothing. But the knowledge about the Kshetrajna, the one who understands the conscious being is different from, is unqualified. He is the truth of the Anatma. At the same time, he is unqualified by the Anatma. To understand this, he is understanding. Not to understand this, he is non-understanding. And therefore, to understanding this is indeed jnanam. Is acceptable to me. Is acceptable to me. He says that. Yata jnanam matam mama. And then he says, and don't say that it is equal to me. It's not equal to me. Parameshwara says it is me. Meaning when I am identified with the body, I am called Jiva. As a Jiva, and therefore Jiva is myself. Jiva is myself. Jiva is myself. Karyam is not different from the Karyam doesn't qualify the Karana, but the Karanam is related to the Karyam. Karanam is related to the Karyam. And then it says Takshetram Yacha Yadrakcha. Dakshetram, yeah, what is Dakshetram? Yacha. Yacha means Yat plus Cha. Tat Kshetram. Dakshetram. What is that Kshetram? Yadrikcha. Cha means and. Yadriksha, what kind of kshetram it is? Yad vikari, what are its modifications? Yad vikari means यद विकारी जो कौन सी विकारी यद विकारी कौन सी विकारी है यतश्च यत यतश्च means from where it is coming and yat what is that kshetra yat yatashcha yat yatashcha जो क्षेत्र यत यतः यतश्च यत जो किससे आता है सच यो यत प्रभावश्च and what is it prabhav tat samasena me shunu and that may you listen to me briefly. In this manner, Krishna says, even though Krishna says that kshetram is what is known to the kshetrajna is kshetram. That kshetram, what is that kshetram? What kind of kshetram? What are its modifications? What is its material cause? And what is its capacity? That listen to me very briefly in this manner. He says, Krishna says. Rishibhir Bahuda Gitam. Rishibhihi means by the sages. Bahuda Gitam. Bahuda means in many ways. Bahudha. Gitam means it has been sung. Rishis have sung it many times, in many ways. Sangam. Chandobihi, in many chandas, in so many meters. Vividaihi, Vividaihi Chandobihi. By various Vividaihi means Vivida Chandosi, by various meters. Kathak separately. They have sung separately. So Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva. Brahma Sutra Padaihi. The words in the Brahma Sutras also. In the words in the Brahma Sutras also it has been sung. And it is true. Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva. Brahma Sutras, you are listening to Brahma Sutras. Brahma Sutras have been put in, they have been played. You can look for Brahma Sutra classes. I spoke on 1914 by Dinesh ji is putting. You are putting, every week he is changing the cassette. For 1 week he is putting, and therefore that all the students must listen to it, because it's very good. And I spoke in 1914, before I fell sick, not after I fell sick, before I fell sick. Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva. Hetumadbihi, by logical. Hetumadbihi. Hetumadbihi means by the logical sutra, by the logical Brahma Sutras, Vinishchitaihi, means by decisively logical words they have been spoken. They have been spoken. It has been spoken. What is so this knowledge has been spoken? What knowledge? That Jiva is Ishvara. It has been spoken. It has been spoken. By whom? By the rishis, by the sages. Bahuda Getam. By in many ways they have sung. Chandobihi, Vividahi Pratak. They have been sung separately. Pratak means separately. Chandobihi, Vividahi. By various meters they have been sung. Brahma Sutra Padaishchaiva. And the words in Brahma Sutras. Hetumadbihi. Hetumadbihi means by logical sentences, by logical words. Vinishchitaihi. Because unless it is logical, it will go. Unless you experience, you cannot think. This everybody has to understand. Unless what is in your experience, you cannot reflect on it. Unless it is already within your experience, you can't reflect upon it. If you think about something which is not within your experience, it becomes imagination. And therefore, either you imagine the heaven, or you imagine the God in heaven as present in heaven. And that is because heaven is not in experience. God as in heaven is not in experience. And God as present in heaven also is not in experience. And therefore, what is not within experience, you can't think. This you have to understand. You can only understand the objects. The objects are within the experience. The universe you can understand. The universe you can understand. The objects around you, you can understand. If the Atma can be understood. Atma is something, the material cause, and your existence is also within your experience. You are there, and therefore your consciousness is very much within experience, and therefore consciousness can be understood as anatma, as atma, as different from anatma, as separate from anatma. Anatma is within experience, and Atma is also within experience. And you can understand the Atma to be separate from Anatma. It is unlike the Anatma. It is not parallel to Anatma. Anatma is not parallel to Atma, but Anatma is, it is the truth of Anatma. This you can understand because both of them are within your experience. And therefore, as the seer, as the experiencer of the waking state, you are within your experience. As the experience, as the seer of the dream, also you are within your experience. As the experiencer of the deep sleep state, also you are within your experience. You are as a sleeper, also you are within your experience. As the experiencer of the as kshetrajna. And when the kshetrajna, when it is identified with the body, it is jiva. When it is not identified, like in sleep, you are not a jiva. In deep sleep state, you are not a jiva, you are in swabhava avastha, swarupa avastha. That is your swarupa. Because there is no dvaita, you are not related to your children, you are not related to your house, you are not related to anything. That means there is no dvaitam in sushupti. And from that, in that sleep only, you wake up. You don't wake up from sleep, you wake up in sleep, and therefore you don't wake up from sleep. Even though we say that we wake up from sleep, but actually you wake up in sleep, and therefore the ignorance continues, and therefore you wake up in sleep. Sleep is there. In sleep only you are seeing all these things, these objects, etc. Self ignorance, and therefore in self ignorance, when you are identified with the body, then there is self ignorance. Identified with one, the agrahanam is there. And there is anidagrahanam also. Agrahanam and anidagrahanam is there. When you are identified with the body, there is ignorance. Otherwise, in the deep sleep state, you are not ignorant. You are only your swarupa, and therefore it is said. Shibir Bahudagatam. By a Rishi, this knowledge that you are not as you are not this body. This has been sung by this Atma. What is within experience, you can only think. What is not within your experience, you can't think. This you can understand as the seer of the waking state, you are within your experience. As the seer of the dream state, you are within your experience. As the experiencer of the deep sleep state also, you are within your experience, and therefore the waking is born of the yourself, the dream also is born of yourself. The waking state is the waking state. You are the material cause of the waking world. You are also not qualified. Swarupa is only Advaita. You are not qualified. You are the truth. You are the Upadanam, and yet you are not. You are Upadanam of the waking world and the dream world, all the Anatma, and at the same time you are not qualified by Anatma, as in Sushupti. As in Sushupti there is no relationship, therefore it is Advaitam. From that Advaitam only the Dvaitam is come. Dvaitam has come from Advaitam. Advaita, Anatma is called Dvaitam. Being related to is Dvaitam. That relationship is born of Advaitam. And understanding that relationship is what is called Advaitam. Understanding that relationship is Mithya. Understanding that relationship is Mithya. Understanding that the relationship is Mithya is what is called Advaitam. And therefore, please understand this point. That means you cannot think anything. You cannot think anything what is not within your experience. And therefore, every religion is belief based. The religion, God is not something that you cannot understand. That the God is, if you God cannot be something to which The objects are parallel, the forms are parallel. It is formless, but the forms are not parallel. There is nothing parallel to the infinity. Infinity is all inclusive. Infinite is the infinite being is all inclusive. It is inclusive of time. It is inclusive of space. It is inclusive of every object. The entire Jagat. Jagat includes the time and space also, and therefore, and it is and the Atma is within your experience. Your existence is you are within your experience, and the existence of Atma, Anatma also is within your experience. Like light and darkness, light is within your experience. Darkness is you can always understand. Light negates the darkness, and the darkness is not something that is abhava of the light. That is something that is, it is not a positive thing, it is a negative thing. And therefore, jnana bhava is negated by the jnana bhava. Abhava is negated by the bhava. Bhava negates the abhava. The presence negates the absence. The presence of light negates the absence of light, called darkness. But yet, I take myself to be the light is taken to be the darkness. There is no. That is what Shankaracharya says. Consciousness is identified with the matter. Matter is like dark. The body is like darkness, and the consciousness is like the light, and they are identified with each other, and therefore it is self-ignorant. Discerning is possible between the Atma and Anatma. Discerning is possible because there is a discerning. Hetmadbir Vinishitahi. And this has been said. And therefore, I want you to understand this one point, and that is what is within your experience, you can think. Scientists think about the objects because the objects are within your experience. They can't say whether there is heaven or not. Why? Because the heaven and hell are only they're only matter of belief. Matter of belief means you cannot be logical about it. You can't be illogical about it. It's a matter of faith, and therefore you can't be very logical. You can't be illogical. There is no logic in the argument. There is no logicality, and therefore logicality is only in thinking about what is within your experience. What is within your experience is yourself and the world. And the world is you and the world is born of you as the consciousness. Consciousness is Advaitam, and consciousness is by nature it is Advaita, non-dual, and it is not qualified by any object. And this you have to understand, please. Therefore, every religion is matter of belief, and Sanatana Dharma is a matter of knowledge, matter of understanding. It's a matter of understanding. It's a matter of understanding. You have to understand this point, please. What is not within your experience, you cannot understand. What is not within your experience, you cannot understand. And therefore, the truth is already within your experience. And therefore, when you are within your experience, the truth is within your experience. And therefore the consciousness is within your experience. Who doesn't know the consciousness? Everybody talks about consciousness as distinct from matter. Matter is within your experience. You can know the matter, and the matter around you, the objects around you. If you talk about heaven after death, if you talk about hell after death, it's not known. Death is not known, and therefore I am still alive. And therefore, when the death is not, when the after death, the heaven and hell is there. I don't know. It is a matter of belief, and therefore that is why it's Shraddhayam, means you have to have the faith. You have to have the faith. Here in Vedanta, you don't have to have any belief, any faith. It is something. It is within your experience. The object is the Atma is within your experience, and Anatma is within your experience, and therefore the body is within your experience, and the consciousness also is in your experience, and therefore you can discern between the two, and therefore understanding the Atma as unqualified as the truth of the Anatma, and also it is not qualified with Anatma can be understood, and therefore it is said here, Rishabir Bhavadagetam. This knowledge is something that is sung by many sages by various matters differently. Gita, it has been sung. Brahma Sutra Padashchaiva, by logical words, by a lot of logics, lot of logicalities, lot of logicality, it has been sung. In Brahma Sutras, it has been sung, it has been sung. And Veda Vyasa has written all the Brahma Sutra Padas. Brahma Sutras have been written by Veda Vyasa. And Veda Vyasa is a Rishi. And therefore, Rishibir Bhagavad Ageda, Vivida Chandobir Vivida, Brahma Sutra Padashchaiva, Hetu Madbihi, Vinishchitahi, decisively. It is not something Vinishchitahi, it's not it is not undecisively. It is indecisively, no? It is decisively. It has been ultimately. It has complete. It has concluded. It has culminated in understanding what is within experience. Etmadbihi vinishchitaihi. In this manner, he says here. Therefore, you have to understand this one point very clearly. I'm going to repeat again. That is what is within your experience. Therefore, it is not that you are going to experience. It is within experience only. It is what is the truth is already within your experience as your existence, and therefore you can understand yourself. And therefore, what is not within your experience, you have to only believe. If somebody talks about the formless, it's God as formless, and therefore thinking about God as formless is right. And worshipping the forms is not good. My answer is, my answer is, the form cannot be parallel to God. God is infinite. Everybody understands has to be infinite. If He is an infinite being, then God is nothing is parallel to the infinite. It is all inclusive, and therefore God only is present as Jiva when He identifies with the form. Or Parameshwara only identifies with the body. Parameshwara having created, he Tat Srishtva Tadeva Anupravishat. Tat Srishtva means having created the body, he enters the body, keeping his actuality intact. Keeping his actuality intact. And this is very important, keeping his actuality intact, unqualified with the body. He is as Parameshwara, he is the cause of the whole universe. As Brahman, he is free from being qualified by the Anatma, and therefore he is called Brahman. He is the infinite being. He is not the cause. He is the cause. But you have to understand that I am the perceiver. Where I am the objects are only perception. If it is not, they are not perception. Then they are independent of. Are they independent of perception? How do you prove the how do you prove the objects if they are not if they are independent of perception? If they are not independent, I see them and therefore it is there. It is being seen by every jiva and therefore it is there. And when it is universal, it is there. It is not away. It is not independent of perception. It is a mere perception, and therefore, because it is not independent of perception. It is only a perception, and therefore, it is not something that is an object of perception. It is perception only. It is not independent of perception. This is what you have to understand. The universe is not independent of perception. You see it like just as snake is only seen by you. It is not there. It's not there. It is only seen by you. It is a bhranti, and therefore you conclude it as emotional. You conclude it as snake, but it is in the form of the conclusion only, and the conclusion is that it is snake. Similarly, that your conclusion is that I am the body. You don't discern between yourself and the body. You don't discern. You are a conscious being. You are only conscious being. You are not a blend of matter and consciousness. As a blend of consciousness and matter, you are only jiva. And therefore, as a jiva, you are suffering going through samsara. But you are not free from the jiva. You are only a conscious being. You are not the body. You are not a blend of both body and the consciousness. As a blend, you are only a jiva place. And therefore this you have to understand very clearly. And that is the you are not you are only consciousness. Consciousness is different from the anatma. If Parameshwara is something that is infinite, the infinite, nothing can be, a form cannot be parallel to the infinite. Nothing can be there as parallel to the infinite. And therefore, it is only the if something is there parallel to the finite. Every jiva is finite, and therefore there are so many things parallel to us. But as Brahman, nothing can be parallel. In Sushupti, you are Brahman, and therefore, in Sushupti, you are Brahman, and therefore there is nothing parallel to you. There is no, you don't see anything, you don't remember anything. There is no perception, and there is no memory. There is no Pramana Siddham, there is no memory also. The Smriti is not there, and therefore the faculties are not there, and therefore the faculties are also don't qualify the consciousness. They don't qualify the consciousness. This phrase you have to understand. There is nothing that can qualify the consciousness. Consciousness is consciousness alone. If it can be, it has needs ununderstood. It is not understood, and therefore you become a jiva. And if it is understood, then you are not jiva. You are also the same as Brahman. The same as when you are the Brahman. Same, you are the same being. Not Brahman, you are not equal to Brahman, you are also the same Brahman. Swayam Devadutta, that Devadutta, A is equal to B, we say. A is not equal to B, A is B. It is called by two names. You call it A, you call it B. A is B. A itself is the Jiva, and itself is Brahman, itself is Sakshi. Parameshwara is Brahman, Parameshwara is the Sakshi, Parameshwara is Upadana, Parameshwara is Upadana of the Jiva, the thought also. Everything is Parameshwara only. There is no difference between Parameshwara and the thought. There is no difference between Parameshwara and Anatma. Parameshwara is Upadana, Parameshwara is the Sakshi, Parameshwara is the Jiva Atma also. And therefore, Jiva is told by the Shastra that you are indeed Brahman. Parameshwara means Karyakarana Bhava, and Brahman means there is no Karyakarana Bhava. You are indeed. Ishvara is only. Ishvara loses his Ishvaratvam unrelated to Jiva. In the Jiva's mind only, this is all there. That the truth is Ishvara, that the truth is Jiva, the truth is Sakshi. But all these things are in our thinking. But that thinking itself is wrong. That thinking itself doesn't qualify the truth. That thinking is in Jiva's thinking. That thinking is only in Jiva's thinking. And therefore Jiva is not a Jiva is not a Jiva doesn't qualify. Jivatvam doesn't qualify the Ishvara or Brahma consciousness. Ishvaratma doesn't qualify the consciousness. Consciousness unqualified is indeed Brahman, and the more of it we will see in the next class. Thank you very much. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. Thank you.